We're talking to Dr. CPoe, and the program has to do with the massacre at Blacksburg, Virginia. And of course, Dr. Poe, I continue to hesitate every time I think about that. That was such a tragic affair. But let us pick up where we left off during the second segment and have you to continue this conversation.
Right. As you say, it was a very tragic event, but I'm convinced that there's a tremendous potential here for good. One, as I said, if we re-examine our mental health resources in terms of accessibility, if we expand them and make them more available, if we begin to look more closely at low self-esteem and how it contributes to violence, I think another benefit that could come out of this tragedy is that if we take a look at how affluent persons, how those persons can damage, how their affluence can be responded in such a way as to cause damage to their self-esteem, as well as damage to the self-esteem of people who don't have as much. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say if I come into a high income, or if I'm born into an upper middle income family, and I go to a prestigious school, okay, and if I let my family background and the car I drive, the clothes I wear, okay, the school I attend, if I allow that to cause me to feel above or superior to other people, I have damaged my self-esteem, okay? Now, if at the same time I treat other people who don't have as much as I have, okay, as if they are less than I am, I have used what I have to contribute to a damaging of somebody else's self-esteem. Now, Cho said, he expressed a lot of rage towards the affluent and towards the wealthy, all right? Now, I wonder if there was any basis in his rage toward the wealthy. Was he in fact snobbed? Was he in fact snubbed? Was he in fact treated as if he was inferior by those persons who are part of the middle or upper income group? I don't know. I don't know. But I really think that universities that have a lot of middle income, upper middle income students ought to examine the effect of the behavior and the attitudes of their students on themselves relative to their possessions, their economic background, and how they treat others in that institution who are third world or who are members of a minority, all right? Because it'd be very easy then for persons who are affluent to contribute to low self-esteem in persons who are not.
And so that's one of the things that we might be able to bring out of all of this.
Yes, because you know how it is, Dr. King, you know, we get 2 cents, a former pastor say, above car fare. Sometimes we let it go to our head. All right? So if my possessions causes me to feel, if I respond to my possessions, my blessings, as if I am better than other people.
And so was that characteristic because you're better that gave you those possessions? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Then I have damaged my self-esteem, I've caused myself to feel superior, and very likely I'm going to relate to other people in such a way as to contribute to anxiety on their part. And so that's not good. So I think there's much good that can come out of that tragedy.
And so you think that, and now, why in the world would he think in terms of leaving some kind of documentation in reference to? Explain that. I mean, it seems that this video that he sent to the media was in reality a documentation of what? I mean, what was all of that? What was that all about?
Well, I mean, look how invisible he had been before. Okay. Didn't talk even to his roommates, no friends, isolated himself from everybody. You might say he was invisible. I'm reminded of Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man, okay? So I think that he was determined to become visible, to make an impact, even though it was a negative impact. And so I think that oftentimes people who have very, very low self-esteem feel invisible, small, rejected,
inconsequential,
and so they become determined then to make a very dramatic impact. And so very often they come up with fantasies of being superior, grandiosity, okay? Or they will do something that will invite attention to themselves, and they're prone to do almost anything, even to commit a violent act, to bring attention to themselves, to prove that they are superior or above other people.
Dr. Poe, now I know that this was not a terrorist act, and et cetera, but we are confronted by, in this world that we live in, by people who are of this young man's age, who will strap themselves with bombs and walk into the middle of a marketplace and et cetera, and kill others while they kill themselves. Do you see any kind of relationship between what he did and what they're doing in reference to that? And so what is that relationship?
I think so. I think that, you know, it may be that people who live in societies where there's such a schism between the upper income group, which is usually very, very small, and most of the rest of the society, these people, I think, often feel worthless, helpless, powerless, insignificant, and are willing to do anything that will give them a sense of significance, even kill themselves. If they can become convinced that killing themselves, blowing themselves up, gives them some value and some significance and some importance, and it's going to have some impact, I think oftentimes people are willing to do that. I think we need to do what we can to keep to lessen the divide between the wealthy and the poor.
Good.
Okay? Because when people are disenfranchised, when they feel that they can't move up, they begin to feel powerless, hopeless, helpless, okay? And they're much more prone to become violent.
And so there's a correlation between what individuals will do in a violent nature and really their social status in a real sense, and how they feel about themselves.
Yes. And also, let me just say that a lack of spiritual nurture and guidance. I did some research at the Metro Jail. We found out that most of the inmates, we evaluated 25 inmates, 15 Caucasian, 9 Afro-Americans, 1 Hispanic, who had committed robbery, rape, murder, incest, or aggravated assault. And we found out that about 92%, okay, had very low self-esteem and grew up in family situations in which there was a visible lack of spiritual nurture and guidance. And so that's a very important piece, that we expose our children to spiritual guidance and nurture in the home, okay, and as often as we can, because this will help to improve their self-esteem and help to orient them away from violence and away from getting even or revenge.
In other words, this is a call to parents to get those children back into church, not only because it's necessary as a point of view in terms of their belief, but it's also necessary in terms of saving their lives, in terms of guiding them in the right direction.
Absolute call to parents, a call to the church, a call to the school. School needs to make more available mental health resources to their students. It's a wake-up call to the mental health system, okay? A wake-up call to our policymakers. All right, it's a huge wake-up call, I think.
And you mentioned teasing and bullying. Say something in reference to that, because that too, I think, isolates.
Well, it's kind of interesting that oftentimes people who are teased, most of all, are people who already have very low self-esteem. And what does teasing do? It just further lowers a person's self-esteem. And what does that do? It causes them to withdraw more from other people, and that isolation increases the likelihood that that person is going to be violent eventually towards other people and or towards themselves. So we need to really educate people about the danger of hard teasing, the danger of putting people down, the danger of treating people as if they are inferior, the danger of making anybody feel that they are less important than you are, less worthwhile than you are. That's very, very dangerous.
You know, being involved in higher education for so long, Dr. Poe, both of us know that if you've got 35 or 40 students in a classroom and one is acting as this young man's supposed to have acted, all the students that come and go, everybody's got something to say in reference to it, you see, and et cetera. So I can understand perhaps how that might have sort of pushed him over the edge, wishing to perhaps get revenge, as you indicated.
Yes, and I think it's also important to realize that people who are very, very shy, very withdrawn, probably have experienced some trauma in their lives, okay? that has rendered them that way. And so rather than teasing them, putting them down, we need to be more prone to reach out.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Poe, let me over the last few seconds that we have here, thank you for coming by and again bringing us that excellent information. I think that, as we said in reference to your attack on America, that that was in reference to one of these great tragedies that we were able to learn some things in reference to. And of course, we'll be back with our audience next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.